Hi, I'm Janet. I'm a registered dietitian. I want to invite you to my show, The Dietitian on a Mission. Cassandra Golden will be here, our first guest. We also have Nicolette Rudd, a chef, and also Dr. Matthew Laporte, physical therapist. Stay tuned. Hi, welcome to The Dietitian on a Mission. My name is Janet Calderwood. I'm a registered dietitian. I want to invite you to the show today. We are going to talk about something that's really important, especially for Americans that are dining out. I have Cassandra Golden. She's the first guest in the studio with me. She's a registered dietitian. Cassandra, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
It's great to see you. We're going to talk about a lot of things that people really need to know. The show is called What's on the Menu. As we dine out, more and more Americans are dining out every day, correct?
Yes, Janet. So researchers are saying that Americans are dining out 4 to 5 times per week in this country.
That's really changed over the course of the last several years when Americans really didn't dine out quite that much. So that's going to throw a lot of challenges for people when they're looking at the menu, trying to figure out, is that a healthy choice for me or should I skip this? And the more menu items that somebody has to sort of review, the more difficult it can be. Would you agree?
I would definitely agree with that. It's very overwhelming to look at a menu and be lost with how many options there are, and then having the question of how many calories are in these items as well.
Because we know that while maybe when people do dine out, they're enjoying it, right? It makes it a little bit easier if you're a busy mom on the go. You don't have to cook. The best kitchen is the one that is never used, right? It's clean all the time. You don't have to clean it. But the downside of that is you don't have as much control about the different ingredients that are added in the different food items. So one of the great things that we discussed earlier was about the new regulations from the FDA, which is the Food and Drug Administration. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what changes people can expect to see as they go out to dine at restaurants?
Sure. By May 2018, any restaurant that has over 20 locations will have to have their nutrition information posted online as well as on the menu.
Which makes it great because if you're looking at eating a steak and you see that there's 2,000 calories in one steak, you might think twice about ordering something that might not have as many calories or fat grams. So I've actually already started seeing that in many restaurants. You're already putting the calories and different information that would be very helpful for diners. And truthfully, one of the things that I think would be very helpful, you tell me what you think, Cassandra, is that if you know where you're going, if you know the restaurant that you're going to, go ahead and look online. Take a look at the menu and see if you can find maybe 3 or 4 items that you can get the calories and everything ahead of time so that you have options.
I definitely agree with that. And I tell my own clients, before you step foot into that restaurant or that food establishment, try to find out as much as you can in advance of what's being offered on that menu so you don't have to feel overwhelmed and just choose something very quickly and then feel regretful or guilty afterwards or feel that that meal was just a real setback.
A setback, right? Because we can share with them today a lot of the questions that they're going to be confronted with when they go to a restaurant. Like the first thing is, do I order salad, soup, appetizer? What are some of the recommendations that you have that will help keep people on the straight and narrow? so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Well, the fact of the matter is that restaurants are not too worried about your health unless it's a special restaurant that's really catering to more healthful options. But in reality, all of those items are not going to be the healthiest, because the goal of a restaurant is really for the food to taste delicious and for you to have a special occasion. So it's really important.
So that you come back?
So that you come back, you spend money, you write a review, you tell your friends, and it continues with that kind of a cycle. So it's very important to know these strategies going into it and having a plan going into your restaurant experience.
Okay, so let's just say we're at a restaurant right now and there's so many things to choose from. The server comes over, tells us about the specials, and then we're looking at the menu. Where do we start with all of this?
Well, there are some key words to kind of be aware of, some buzzwords I would call them, going into the situation. So words like fried or buttery or creamy or cheesy or...
What about cheesy, fried, and buttery all together?
That would probably be a red flag for health purposes.
A red flag, yes. A red flag. Okay, so do you think that people should avoid those words? Cheesy, buttery, fried. What other things?
It's not necessarily something they have to completely avoid. At the end of the day, the portion size is probably going to be the most important. So if you split something that's cheesy, fried, and buttery and whatnot, if we split something between maybe 4 friends or 4 family members, you're only having 1/4 of the cheesy, buttery concoction.
So portion control would be important. The other thing is sometimes they can make them, the chef or the individuals in the kitchen can prepare it a little differently. So it's not fried, maybe it's baked instead, for example. Maybe you can substitute a different sauce on the side. You know, people can get so many calories in just the appetizer. And when you think about it, I mean, like this fried onion thing that people eat at a fancy steak place has over 2,000 calories with the dipping sauce. And that's just to start off with.
Not to mention the sodium is usually through the roof as well.
So these are things that we want to try to avoid. What are some things that we should look for? Keywords. What are hints that we can look for?
Well, there's other options. I always tell clients not to be embarrassed or scared to make special changes. I was a server all throughout college, and I know that many people make many changes, and it's okay. So if there is something that you don't exactly want it to come out usually how it typically does, don't be scared to make those adjustments. Like instead of white rice, we can go with brown rice, or instead of fried, we can ask for grilled, we can ask for dressing on the side, sauce on the side, ask for it to go container in advance up front so you don't have to be tempted to eat the whole portion.
And we don't want you to eat the to-go container.
No, not
before you leave the
next
restaurant.
Day.
Or, yeah, the container itself either. But the thing is when you're going out to eat or you're dining out with friends, it's usually a very favorable event, right? And we want it to be memorable, but not too memorable that your pants aren't going to fit anymore. I think that planning ahead is a big part. One of the greatest websites that can be very helpful is healthydiningfinder.com. Has a lot of information that the viewers that are watching can put in their zip code and get some healthy restaurants that pulls up.
Yes.
Have you ever used that?
Yes, this is a wonderful website that I use for myself, and I also recommend it to all of my clients and friends and family. So this is something where you can put in your zip code and your location that you're going to be dining, and then there's also different filters. So if you wanted to have more of a fancy dining restaurant down to a fast food restaurant, there are some acceptable choices that you can find at fast food. So this website does that all for you, and you can put in, the amount of money that you want to spend, and everything comes out and analyzes the nutrition for you. So that puts in a lot of work that you don't have to worry about.
And the thing is, depending on where you are, if you're in a zip code area that really doesn't have many places, you're not going to have a lot of options. But Healthy Dining Finder works really well in very dense populated areas where you might have a lot of variety, and there's a lot of different selections to choose from in terms of just the different type of cuisines in the restaurants that are available. So that's a great tool. The other thing, when dining out, you want to remember that most of us don't eat the way that we eat when we eat out, correct?
Correct.
We don't eat dessert every night. We're not drinking alcoholic beverages, appetizers. Do you eat this way at home?
No, I do not. And that's why eating out is usually for a special occasion. So I typically tell my clients to choose one of these special treats. So being at a restaurant in general, you have to assume that you're going to be eating more calories, fat, sodium than you would at home. That's fact. And in addition to that, choose between a drink or an appetizer or a dessert, not all three.
Or none.
This
You don't
doesn't
have to
be
have either.
something. This doesn't have to be something to set you back days worth, especially if Americans are eating out 4 to 5 times a week. That's a big setback.
That is a big setback, and we don't want you to leave the restaurant feeling defeated. That's the big thing, because then, it's all about enjoying the friend or the company that you're with, and it can be done well. When we talk about the portions, as you mentioned, Cassandra, if people are looking at what is served to them, they have to realize that that is not a standard portion.
No.
In many Italian restaurants, for example, that you're getting enough pasta for 6 to 8 people because the serving is half a cup. If you get 3 cups of pasta, that's enough for 6 people. So if you're eating the entire content of your meal, that's way too much.
I agree. And it's not uncommon that these items in different restaurants are over 2,000 calories, way over what some people require for the entire day, just in that one meal.
I think individuals also need to be a little leery that if the descriptive words for a menu item even appears healthy, you really have to look a little bit further. Like, for example, one chain restaurant is featuring a salmon salad with quinoa, and it had 1,200 calories in it. That's more calories than a fast food meal. That, while there may be some aspects of that meal that are in fact healthy, there are many things, and probably an overabundance of calories, fat, and sodium, as you described. Even though I'm sure it tastes quite delicious, we just don't need all that. And we know also that, as you said, Cassandra, that Americans enjoy dining out. If restaurants were concerned about their health, they wouldn't be as concerned about serving them too much of a great portion size that's way too large. So be smart. We have to be savvy customers, and we have to do our homework. One of the things that I've heard often is prior planning prevents poor performance, and that's true. If you're going to Healthy Dining Finder, if you're looking at the menu, if you've ever been to the restaurant before, as you said, all this information will be helpful when the challenge comes, correct?
That's right. And one other tip I did want to mention is not showing up to the restaurant being ravenously hungry, because it happens to all of us. When hunger attacks, we choose things that we wouldn't typically choose. We eat portions that were way larger than we typically would if we were just at a regular level of hunger. So what I typically recommend for my clients is to have a little bit of a snack before they head out to the restaurant, because by the time they get to the restaurant, sit down, order, the food comes, it could be a lengthy amount of time, especially depending on how many people they have in the party.
And what are you recommending for these snacks?
Something that's higher in protein, actually, like an individual pack of nuts or an individual little serving of cottage cheese.
Like a half a cup of cottage cheese or 10 almonds, something like that? Okay, just enough to keep the hunger at bay. You know you're getting ready to eat. You don't want to overindulge from the snack before you eat the meal.
Right.
So all those are great tips. Cassandra, thank you for being here today, and thank you for sharing your knowledge with our viewers. You stay tuned. We'll be right back with our next guest.
balanced diet is vital for good health. And good nutrition is the key to our mental and physical health. So visit dietitianonamission.com for your nutrition information. That's dietitianonamission.com.
Welcome back. We're in the kitchen with Nicolette, and what is on the menu today, my friend?
Today we are doing very healthy, very quick salad dressings. Rather than the store-bought where you oftentimes have hundreds of calories, we're making...
Not to mention sodium.
Yes, exactly. We try to stay away from that too much.
Okay, so we're gonna make a fancy salad dressing.
We are. There's some people like more of a sweet dressing, and so right now what we're going to do is make a very simple one using oranges and lemon and honey and very uniquely cashews.
Wow. Now that's sounds like it's very simple ingredients, so hopefully this will be a simple process for all of us.
It actually is very, very easy. You'd be surprised if my handy favorite, my immersion blender, to blend everything up.
So we have lemon juice and
mandarin oranges.
Okay.
A little bit of Dijon, whatever your favorite mustard is. Just throw them in, blend it up. I personally throw a little bit. I have a friend who has bees. I have my very own honey that I love.
Oh,
so throw a little bit of honey in.
Is his name Winnie the Pooh?
It's Winnie the Pooh's friend.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to make some noise and blend it up a little bit, and then throw in some cashews.
Now, if somebody doesn't have one of these fancy blenders, can they use a regular blender?
A regular blender is great. I use a regular blender, I use a Vitamix, I use an immersion blender.
Okay.
And then blend those together. Throw in some cashews. It gives you a nice thickness to your dressing to hold rather than a heavy oil, which a lot of times is what people want an oil for, is to stick to the salad. So this kind of gives us a healthier fat with a little protein.
Wow. And when you make this and you put it in your refrigerator, if you have leftovers, how many days is that good for?
It lasts easily 5-6 days, very, very well.
Okay.
I've never had it last. Everybody eats it up right away, so I'm not even sure.
It's a very popular dressing.
It is extremely popular.
And what is the official name of this dressing? Nicolette's Special Cashew Dressing?
I usually call it my orange cashew dressing, is what I call it. And then the others just add flavor in.
And then one question that I have, is there any type of pairing, like sweet dressings with different type of lettuces? I'm just curious. How do you know which dressing with which salad?
You will find, of course, the various flavors. I find a kale to have enough of a bite to it that I like a sweet dressing on a kale, or an arugula that will also have more of like that bite to it. So I like something like that. I'm one that I bring a sweet into that to oppose that flavor. And the other thing I will do on occasion is with this dressing, throw in some non-fat Greek yogurt if you're one that likes to add a creaminess to it and want to pull in a little tiny bit more protein just to make it a full meal instead.
Great. And as far as this dressing goes, the amount that we made here, that will be enough for this entire salad?
It is. This is 1 bottle of that, and you can toss it together, serve it directly at a dinner party, have a finished product. That's a full meal.
That's a full meal, isn't it? Delicious.
It is. I enjoy it very much.
Well, thank you for being here today, and you stay tuned. We have more ahead.
The Task Force on Preventative Disease recommends that every woman have a mammogram at the age of 50 annually. The American Cancer Society recommends a mammogram at the age of 45 annually. The problem happens when we have false positive. It happens very often that you come back with the bad news, you've got something from the mammogram. They do follow-up studies, and we have a lot of fear in the meantime. We're waiting for the future studies. They are negative. Then do you really want to go for a mammogram next year? You know, we kind of make ourselves a little numb to them after a while, although they are very important. The best thing we can do is self-breast examinations and follow the guidelines to have a mammogram every year.
Hi, and welcome back. People matter to me. You matter to me. They always have and they always will. And that is one of the great privileges that I have, is to go out and to help other people, not only here in the United States, but in other countries where they aren't as fortunate to have access to the great healthcare system that we have. No healthcare system is perfect, but certainly knowledge is power. And for many people, many of my friends in third world countries, they don't have access to even information, even testing blood sugars or blood pressures or anything simple like that. It can be life-changing. I've had the awesome opportunity to help many people throughout the world, and it gives me great joy to say that it brings hope and health to others, and it puts a smile on my face because my faith is important to me, and knowing that I can reach out to others and make a lasting difference is definitely worthwhile. You can be a part of that. You can go to visit my website at dietitianonamission.com if you're interested in what we're doing and the future opportunities that exist for not only now, but the days ahead, the years ahead. Thank you for tuning in today, and I hope that the information that we share with you on this show has been helpful to you, and please feel free to reach out to me. I have comments available that you can send me a message if you'd like, but remember, what we do does make a difference, and that's what it's all about, helping others and helping you.
Good nutrition is the key to your mental and physical health. Janet, your dietitian on a mission, has great nutrition tips just for you. So visit dietitianonamission.com. That's dietitianonamission.com for your nutrition tips. If you would like Janet to speak at your event, you can contact her by going to our website, dietitianonamission.com.
Welcome back. I'm here with Matt, Dr. Matt Laporte, physical therapist. What do you have that you can share with us today to help us enjoy exercise more, Matt?
So when we talk about exercise, there's so much information out there, it's overwhelming.
Right.
And unfortunately, with that information, there's a lot of false information and some myths. So I want to clear up 3 of those myths for your viewers today.
Like Facebook science?
Like Facebook science,
Okay.
yeah, social media has brought on a lot of information, and when you bring on that information, it's false information that comes along with it.
Mm-hmm. So that makes it really difficult for people like the lay public to understand, really, what should I be doing and what shouldn't I be doing?
Right,
Because
what's
there's
truth?
some risk, right?
Exactly, what's truth and what's false.
Okay.
So the first myth I want to talk about is people who want to spot reduce or spot tone a certain area on their body.
Okay.
Typically when they ask that question, they've looked in the mirror, they're not happy with a certain area of their body, and they have a problem area.
Like
so it could be
the gut?
It could be the gut, it could
Okay.
be the arms, the hips. When we talk about a problem area, that typically means that there's a layer of body fat over that area.
Okay.
To lose fat, we have to combine solid nutrition with exercise, and our body will lose fat, but globally throughout the entire body. Unfortunately, we can't spot reduce an area of the body.
So you can't just take off 3% body fat in your gut.
Correct. And a lot of that has come through the marketing on TV, a lot of products and exercise equipment is sold being able to target a certain area of the body, when in fact that's just not the case. That's not how it works.
So be consumer savvy, and remember that if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is,
Probably
right?
is.
Okay.
Second myth I want to discuss is, and I hear this a lot with patients, I'll check in with them while they're exercising and they'll look at me and say, no pain, no gain. So they think that they should be pushing through pain to get a benefit from an exercise.
Okay.
So exercise should be challenging, but anytime we have pain, it's our body's way of telling us that something is wrong. So we need to stop immediately and kind of assess what's going on. And if we don't know why we're having some pain, we need to get with a professional, a physical therapist, to determine what's happening. Because if we push through the pain, it can actually lead to more injury.
Well, and that's really important because just as you said, no pain, no gain, but we certainly don't want people to feel that they have to engage in exercise that's painful to enjoy it. And that's one probably deterrent that people have. Oh, I'm going to have to sweat and I'm going to have to, huff and puff and be in pain. But that's not the case. There's plenty of exercises that can be done and done with great enjoyment.
Absolutely, and the benefit is consistency.
Consistency.
If you find something you enjoy and you're consistent with it, you'll see the results from it.
Okay.
And the third myth I want to discuss is females who are afraid to do any type of strength training or lifting because they're afraid to get big and bulky, which is a common reason that women don't want to do any type of strength training. Just from a pure physiological standpoint, men and women have very different hormone profiles. So men have higher testosterone than women.
Thank God, right?
Right?
Okay.
So it's physiologically impossible for women to get big and bulky.
Okay.
It just doesn't happen. But when women start strength training, they'll increase their strength, they'll increase their muscle endurance, their muscle tone, they'll significantly decrease the risk of osteoporosis.
Very
important, especially as women get older, and they'll significantly increase the amount of calories that they burn every single day by strength training. So will they get big and bulky? No, but there's significant benefits to strength training for females.
That's a great point. And one of the things that you were actually uncovering in your first myth about, or the second one about spot training, lowering your body fat, strength training is a great way to do that, right? As
Absolutely.
You increase your muscle tone. And
because muscle burns more calories than fat does.
Right.
And just from a lifestyle standpoint, strength training, being able to pick up kids or grandchildren in their car seats, going to the store and lifting up groceries or bags, it's a lifestyle maintaining our strength, especially as we get older. So females should not be concerned about getting big and bulky, but there's significant benefits from that strength training.
Well, those are great tips, and I want to thank you so much for sharing them because it is true. There's a lot of information out there. It can be very difficult for consumers and people that want to do the right thing to know exactly what that is. Thank you for tuning in today. I hope that the information that was shared by Cassandra, the dietitian, and certainly Nicolette, our chef, and most importantly, Dr. Matt Laporte, our physical therapist, that all of the information you can use to live better every day. I know that there is a ton of information available to you. I want you to have reliable, practical tips that will help you live and enjoy each day of your life.
Thank you for watching today. To find out more about Janet, the Dietitian on a Mission, go to our website, dietitianonamission.com. And if you would like Janet to speak at your event, you can contact her by going to our website, dietitianonamission.com. And you can also leave your comments to ask any nutrition questions you like. We want to hear from you today. So go to dietitianonamission.com.